Hello and good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you around the world who are listening to this live broadcast. I am so excited to be with you today and give you some great information around Veeam, our licensing management portal, how you open up a tech support issue, and all things really cool about Veeam. And with me is Christian. Christian, please join us.
Hello, Jim. Hi, everyone. I'm very delighted to be part of today's webinar. My name is Cristian Anechite, Veeam Customer Support Generalist Team Leader, responsible for the EMEA region, and I've been working with Veeam for 3 years already. I have started as a technical support engineer in one of our fantastic teams of experts specialized in our flagship product, Veeam Backup and Replication. Later on, after being involved in several projects, I've been promoted as the team lead for the Customer Support Generalist team.
Christian, I'm so happy you joined us for today's broadcast. I couldn't think of a better person to be with us today. And for the audience out there, my name is Jim Tedesco. I'm the Senior Vice President of our Renewals and Customer Success business. Been with Veeam for 7 years. Been involved with customer interactions, discussions, planning, and strategy sessions. And we've got a fun-filled, fun-packed agenda for you today. I do want to let you know that if you have a problem with the audio or the video, just type into chat. Someone from our technical side will be able to assist you and help you overcome whatever issues you have. In that chat button, please, if you have any questions, type those questions into the chat button. And if we have time, we have 1 hour for this broadcast. If we have time at the end, we'll try and do as many questions as we can. If not, we've got your contact information. We've got your email addresses. We will respond to you within 24 hours, I guess, or maybe sooner, but we'll get back to you. So if you have any questions, please just touch base with us. Okay, so agenda for today is Veeam by the numbers. What we want to do is really want to talk to you about, who Veeam is and where we came from. You may not be familiar with Veeam. We want to talk to you about customer support, how to open up a ticket, and the different intricate ways of doing that and how easy it is to do certain things. Our licensing management and how that works. We want to talk about our socket licensing and our subscription licensing. So we'll tell you the differences of that. We'll talk to you about some things that we're doing as relates to that. We'll talk to you about what to expect if the support of a license is expired. And so we'll talk to you about what you get with having a support contract and what happens if you don't have a support contract. And then again, we'll get to the Q&A at the end, okay? So hang in there, guys. This is going to be a great couple of minutes. So most of you who are watching this broadcast today, if not everybody worldwide, and we've got, I think, over 1,000 people worldwide, you're new to Veeam. In other words, someone in your company has purchased the Veeam software that you're using, or maybe you were involved in that purchasing process, or maybe you were assigned to manage the Veeam portfolio and you're new to Veeam. So I wanted to take you through who Veeam is and where we've come from. Might be some review for some of you who were involved in that purchasing process. I'm sure you did some background checks on the vendors that you were looking at purchasing. But when you buy Veeam software, it comes with 1 year of free telephone support, free updates and fixes and new versions, as well as you get access to the licensing portal. We'll talk a little bit about the licensing portal in just a second, but that comes automatically for free. At the end of the license term, so maybe you bought a 2-year or a 3-year agreement, or if you just bought the product in itself in a 1-year term, it expires and that stuff goes away unless you have a renewed subscription or a renewed perpetual contract, okay? So what I want to do is I want to kind of pitch this so that you understand what you get with the product and then what happens when it expires, okay? So who's Veeam? Veeam is a 15-year-old private company headquartered out of Bar, Switzerland. We do business with all sizes of companies, from the smallest of SMB, 1 or 2-man shops, all the way up to the largest of Fortune 500s. As a matter of fact, Fortune 500s, or 82% of the Fortune 500s, use Veeam as their standard backup and replication tool for their virtualized and physical environments. About 69% of the Global 2000. So we're very available in that enterprise space. But the majority of our customers, 400,000, are small customers, right? There's only 2,000 global 2000s. There's hundreds and thousands of small companies, and we've got over 400,000 customers. And an interesting thing is we gain about 4,000 new customers every single month. Last year, calendar year, we had over 53,000 new customers join our portfolio. Divide that out, it comes out a little bit more than 4,000. So on average, 4,000 a month join us, and you might be one of those who just recently joined us. We're a private company, so we don't report publicly, but we do report our numbers on our website, and we do disclose our financials. We're a $1.1 billion company, so we're a very, very large company, if you will. Put that aside, who really cares? What's really important is what's the customer satisfaction that we're providing to our customers. There's an index out there called the NPS index. You'll see it at the bottom right-hand side of your screen. It goes from a -100 to a +100 scale. If you take a look at some of the name brand companies that are listed there, this NPS score really rates an end user's propensity to recommend that vendor to a different person, to their friend, their family, or to a counterpart, a colleague. And so you'll see that Netflix has a 68 score, +68. Amazon has a +61. Veeam Software has a +75 rating, which means that we've got a very, very high probability that our customers would recommend us to their colleagues and to their friends and family to use in the backup environment. So very, very strong customer satisfaction. As a matter of fact, if you look at the bottom left, you'll see that from a customer satisfaction standpoint, we're usually in a 90% or higher range. So we have very good relationships with our customers. We get tremendous feedback from our customers, and we love to make sure that when our customers are asking us questions or giving us some ideas, we use that in our roadmaps going forward with our products. So it's a very special relationship we have with our customers. We have 4,500 employees. These 4,500 employees are around the world, 182 different countries, speaking over 60 different languages. We've got 35 offices around the world supporting you. And the interesting thing to note in the bottom right-hand corner is we're the #1 backup and replication software tool in all of EMEA, and #2 worldwide. And it's really cool to think about the growth that Veeam has had. And I look at the reports from the analysts, and I look at the reports from the different magazines and industry news, and Veeam is always in the double-digit growth, meaning more and more customers are using us and switching from competitors to use Veeam than ever before. As a matter of fact, the market itself is only growing in single digits, and we're growing at double digits, which means that a lot of customers who are using someone else's product are also switching to Veeam. So our competitors are flat or down, and we're up. So, and why are we up? Because the product is fantastic. Bottom left-hand corner, you see that our Office 365 is the #1 backup tool for Microsoft Office 365 in the world. That's an $8 billion marketplace, and we're #1 in the world. And we boast the fact that we've got more people being backed up in our Office 365 tool than any other vendor out there. So really, really cool stuff about our product. So the other thing you got to realize is you purchased our software, your company purchased our software, you didn't purchase it directly through Veeam. We don't sell directly to our customers, although we represent you, we have conversations with you, we do strategy sessions, and we do discussions and probably proof of concepts and trials with you, but we don't sell directly to our customers. We sell through what we call our reseller channel or third-party partners, right? Channel partners. And so there's 35,000 partners around the world who are representing Veeam tools, Veeam products to their end user customers, along with storage devices and servers, other hardware capabilities, as well as their services and their expertise. Those 35,000 reseller partners around the world have really looked at Veeam as the leader in the industry, and they're basically putting together a total solution for their customers that would incorporate the server side, the storage side, the backup tool itself, Veeam, and all of the capabilities and services to assist you. Now, there's also what we call Veeam certified service providers, and these are third parties that actually deliver services. Instead of selling you the software, they would represent the software for you, and they would actually manage it and deliver the capabilities of the backup and the instant recovery and the access to your data. And they would do that on a fee-based as opposed to purchasing the software. And there's 10,000 customers or 10,000 partners out there that have customers all over the world that they're representing a service to. So you may have purchased our product directly and you have it on site in your environment, or you're managing it through the cloud, or you're working through one of these VCSPs, we call them, and they're helping you manage your environment. Either way, we look at you as our customer and we're here to help you. Now, also, all of the name brand manufacturers around hardware devices and servers and technology are partnered with Veeam. We've got development contracts with them, we've got relationships with them, and ultimately together we're providing a solution. We're agnostic. It doesn't matter if you have HP, it doesn't matter if you have Cisco, it doesn't matter if you have Pure software, it doesn't matter what hardware you have to back up your environment. We're agnostic, and we would supply you with the ability to access your data, back up your data, and preserve your data regardless of who you choose. This is just a small sampling of those vendors who we're partnered with. So let me bring in Christian to this conversation. Christian, I know you've been sitting there patiently. I know you've got a lot of things to talk to us about, and I'm really delighted that you're here with us today. So customer support, right? You're the main guy, and we want to get you involved in the conversation. So tell us, what is a customer support contract? Tell us what that means.
Thank you very much, Jim. Indeed, I'm eager to explain a bit about customer support and about the contracts that we have. So first, I will just present our customer support organization. The most important thing is that in Veeam, we have over 600 highly trained professionals providing support for all Veeam products, part of the product-specific teams, the multi-language teams, the critical incident team handling severity 1 priority cases, the VCSP team handling Cloud Connect related issues, and the generalist and licensing team members. Very important to mention as well that we are using the follow the sun approach, which allows our teams from EMEA, APJ, Americas to ensure a 24/7 coverage for all our customers worldwide. We have 4 main support hubs from which we are offering support to our customers in Columbus, Ohio, Sydney, Australia, Bucharest, and St. Petersburg in EMEA, and satellite branches in Japan and China. Besides this, we have also the support management team that's always willing to help in case that our customers would like to escalate existing cases or to provide suggestions, feedback, or any improvements regarding support. The option to contact the manager is available on the customer portal for any registered Veeam account. Back to the support plans. The customers are entitled to support depending on what kind of support plan they have. So they can have basic, production, or premier support. A lot more details about this can be found in our Veeam support policy regarding the availability, SLAs, response times, and so on. But I would like to mention the fact that perpetual socket-based licenses that were purchased prior to 2021 can still have basic support plan. This can always be upgraded to production support plan, which is great because you have more availability.
Okay, wait. Hold on. Let me just make sure everybody understands.
Sure.
So when you say basic, you're talking about in someone's local geography, being able to call the local tech support branch and getting the local language support from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. in their local time zone, correct? That's basic.
Yes, that's correct. During business hours, indeed.
Production. Right. So production is what?
On the other hand, has 24/7 hours support, and the support will be offered also, during weekends. So that's right. Usual. And then, so you will be covered.
So the follow the sun thought is if it's on a Saturday in your local geography, but it's night, you might be getting Sydney, Australia responding to you immediately, as opposed to the person locally in Prague or in somewhere in EMEA, correct?
Yes, that's true. That's correct.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
okay,
so
we got that.
We are making everything sure that we can support our customers all the time whenever they need our help. So yeah. Okay. However, subscription licenses they have a production support plan by default. So this is a main advantage compared to the perpetual ones, indeed. Therefore, you should be aware in case you merge a perpetual socket-based license with basic support with a VUL license with production support, because the resulting license key will have basic support. It will be inherited from the socket-based license. Right.
So, I mean, in that case, just get in touch with Veeam and we could help you, and we could get you a production license key, if you will, and have 24/7 support if you don't already have that. So, and again, most of the people who are on the call here today are new. So let's just talk about some of the things they'd be experiencing as they're viewing their software, maybe for the first month or two, and as they're getting into production. What some of the things that might occur? And the first thing that pops in my mind is, so if they're struggling, if they're challenged, and they need help, what's the first thing they should do?
Contact support, of course.
Of course.
And in order to do that, all customers should have an existing account registered on Veeam.com, because you'll need an account, of course, in order to use the ability to raise support cases. Once that's done, you can just log in on our portal. You can raise a support case depending on the support case type, because you can have a technical support case, licensing support case, or general support case.
Right.
If you are facing issues with your account, portal issues, and so on, you can raise a general support case. For such a support case, you do not need any valid entitlement. So general support case and licensing support cases can be raised even if you don't have a valid license, because we want to help everyone in case they have issues or struggling raising support cases, technical support cases. But on the other,
so wait, hold on. So resist the temptation to pick up the phone and call, and go to the portal. What's the advantage there? What's the advantage?
Well, the advantage of raising a support case is, of course, a faster, response time from our support engineers that will process the case. The initial investigation will start a lot quicker because you already have the log bundles, you already have maybe screenshots of the error message, and you already know everything about the customer and what issue he is facing. And then we can just, provide the initial investigation, maybe jump on a troubleshooting session, and that's it.
Got it. Okay, good. So go online to your portal, type in the information. We're going to do a walkthrough and show you how that's done in a minute, right? But so enter all the information, and then once you have a case number, feel free to call. And if you call, they'll have all the information there. So it takes seconds to get all of the details. And if you don't call right away, we have all your information. Someone's assigned that case and starts working on it behind the scenes immediately, right?
Absolutely. And the person that's working on that case, it's one of our tier 1 support engineers. So, the person is an expert in what he's doing there. That's the first point of contact that you will have via a support case, or of course, if you are calling us. It's recommended, though, that you can call our support hotline once you have a case open, of course, and only if you have an urgent issue, because then, of course, we'll prioritize it and you'll speak directly to the engineer that's processing the case.
Okay, so this is interesting because we do it different than our competition. Our competition, when you call into their support, you get an operator, and the operator takes down some basic information, your name, your company, your phone number, and you go into a queue, and then someone calls you back. That's how our competition works. The way we work is you go online into your portal, you type in your information, basically you give us what the challenge is, what are you struggling with, what the problem is, and we'll show you how to do that very quickly. And then once you call us, the person who answers the phone, Christian, is a tier 1 engineer, correct?
Absolutely, yeah, a tier 1 engineer.
Right, so the person who answers the phone is a really, really smart person who's not going to help you. So statistically, how often does that person actually solve the issue right there and then on that first phone call?
The resolution rate of an issue within, with a certain person that you contacted is of 86%.
Wow.
Maybe not on the first phone call, but also in following calls. But that person that you first interact with is able to solve it 86%.
Right, and the other 14% of the time, maybe he needs some help. He brings someone else in from tier 2 or whatever else. Maybe it's a really, really intricate problem. A lot of times, folks, the issue is environmental. So it's not really the software that's the issue. It's how it's configured on specific hardware. Maybe there was an upgrade or an update made with one of our partners, and their systems, their hardware, whatever is causing an error. But we'll be able to resolve that by looking at it and doing some investigation, maybe getting the log files. And in certain cases, that tier 1 engineer would help escalate it to a tier 2 engineer who would have access to the development and access to our partners and be able to resolve that, helping and being done very quickly. So 86% of the time, the person you talk to is the person who resolves it. 14% of the time, it's escalated. Not always on the first phone call, but Christian, how many times on that first phone call are we able to resolve and solve their issue? Do you know?
20%, yes, of such cases are solved directly on the first call.
Wow, so 1 in 5, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
That is great. That is great. Yeah, that's
a great
awesome.
Number, indeed.
Yeah, okay, good. And then what about training and certification? I know that, customers always ask me, hey, listen, I love the fact that we have tech support. We can call with questions. How do I do this? And what does this button do?
Mhm.
What we typically advise is they get trained and certified, correct?
Absolutely, yeah. So a great way of reducing the amount of technical support calls from a customer perspective is to get trained and certified. For example, we have the VMC certification. In order for any customer to register for this certification, they will just need to contact their reseller, and the reseller will guide them exactly on what needs to be done and how to apply for such a training.
Right. And then so there's paid for training, which would resolve in an actual an agenda and a curriculum that follows a certification test, and that's becoming a trained and certified VMCE. There's also the free training, which provides you with administrative and direction on how to use the product and how to configure it. So that's free. So please get in touch with your reseller, ask them the differences and what's available to you. If nothing else, get the free training. I would certainly encourage you to get the certification training. You don't have to actually take the test. You could just take the training, and if you don't want to get the actual test, but it's great to know more about the product. It really is, and it helps you in the long term. Okay, so Christian, just help us out. I mean, there's different license types. You mentioned perpetual before, you mentioned subscription. So just maybe if you could just bring us through the differences, subscription, perpetual, and I see rental here.
Yeah, Jim, sure. So before I will start, describing each of the license type that we offer to our customers and some particularities that they have, I would like to mention that we have two main categories of licenses in Veeam, and as you can see, we have the paid licenses and free licenses. So I will start with the paid licenses first and describe the subscription license type. The subscription license is a full license that expires at the end of the subscription term. The subscription term is normally between 1 and 3 years from the moment that the license has been created. Whenever a subscription license will expire, both the functionality of the license as well as the support will cease to perform. In order to make sure that all our customers still have their environment protected and will receive support in case that it's needed, Veeam grants also a grace period of 30 days so that our customers, have sufficient time to renew the license, and they will carry on with, their normal license, backup workings, and their normal support. The default support plan for subscription licenses is production support. Perpetual license is a permanent full license, so it doesn't have any expiration date and allows the Veeam product to work. However, the support has an expiration date here. So if the contract maintenance will expire, the backups will continue to run, but you will lose some important benefits like upgrade to new releases, the ability to self-manage the licenses on the portal, and so on. We will discuss more about these benefits a bit later on. The perpetual license does not have any grace period since the backups will continue to run, of course, but you won't be entitled to support anymore. The rental license, on the other hand, is a full license intended for our Veeam cloud and service providers. The license expiration date is set according to the chosen rental program, normally between 1 and 12 months from the license issue date. These licenses are created and managed by the Veeam service providers, and once reaching their expiration date, the functionality will work because we have a grace period for 60 days. However, it's strongly recommended that the monthly usage reports are submitted by the VCSPs in a timely manner in order to, avoid any disruption of services. Those are the paid licenses. Now I will, yeah. Do you have any question, maybe, Jim, regarding
That's great. I love that. I mean, the subscription, everything ceases at the end of that license period, and the support ends and the functionality ends, but it's a lot cheaper. Perpetual licenses last forever, and you have an option to renew and not renew. And I think at this point we have about 97%, maybe a little bit higher, close to 98% of customers who are renewing their perpetual licenses on an annual basis. That other 2%, you got to account for mergers, acquisitions. You have to account for companies potentially going out of business, or a lot of customers talk to me and say, "Hey, the product works. I don't need it," and then they find out later that something happened with their environment and they still need some advice and some expertise, and then they come back and renew with us. But I love the differences there. And the rental is those third parties that are providing services. They're not necessarily owning the licenses, they're renting them through one of these service providers.
Absolutely, that's correct, Jim. Going back to the free licenses, I will start explaining a bit about the evaluation license. Such a license key, so those are called the trial license keys that we have. each Veeam account registered on my.veeam.com by default have some trial keys available in order for our customers to evaluate our products to their full potential, including all product functionalities and evaluation support. Yeah. So we have those available for all products, for Veeam Backup for Office 365, VBR, Veeam One, and so on, all products. However, the validity of such a license key by default is of 30 days. And in case that maybe some of our customers still require an extension of the trial key to finish some tests or evaluating the products, they can reach out to our sales team and they will be able to help them further.
Got it.
Indeed. It's important here that the evaluation license also has some sort of a basic support. So you cannot compare it to the basic support plan because it's, for example, from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. instead of 8 p.m., but we are still offering support as for a paid product.
Right. That's great.
Absolutely. NFR key, the not for resale license key, can be used in test environments or home labs for product demonstration or training purposes only. The person to whom the license is provided has to agree that the license is not for resale or commercial use. The intended audience for such a license key are our community members, certified engineers, trainers, and bloggers usually. On the other hand, for such license keys, we do not offer phone support, and the support provided via cases is done on best effort basis. And the last one, we have the promotional licenses. Those promotional licenses usually grant additional instances for a period of time, depending on the ongoing campaign that Veeam has. Such a key can be installed only on top of an existing perpetual or subscription license scheme, which is considered the primary license. The primary license can have any units, only sockets, only instances, or both. And the number of additional instances and the duration of the promo period are also decided by our sales team.
Got it. Okay, great. And that's the free licenses, and customers who have one product from Veeam would typically evaluate another product, and it's done for free, and they'd get support on that, and they'd get assistance in terms of using it and operating it. In a lot of cases, our third party, we mentioned 35,000 partners out there, would have an NFR. The same exact software you might be evaluating, they have in their offices. It's not for sale to you, but they have a mirror of what it looks like and can help you and walk through and discuss with you the capabilities, the features, and the benefits of the product. So it's great to refer to the third-party reseller or channel partner who you originally purchased the product through to talk about as you evaluate different products within Veeam. Okay, so let's jump to the next slide, which I think is really, really key. Folks, if you have a pen and paper, maybe you could just jot this down. This kind of gives you an idea of how do you contact support, right? So we had mentioned the most important thing is go to your my.veeam.com portal with your license information and open up a ticket. And we're going to walk you through what that looks like in a second. And once you have that done, you can jump to veeam.com/support, and that gives you a whole host of toll-free numbers around the world that you can call into for support. Again, we want you to go online to my.veeam.com to actually enter the information before calling. This, and I will tell you, we've just implemented this over the last couple of months. Originally, when you would call Veeam.com, when you call Veeam for support, it would be about a 3-minute wait. The person would answer the phone in about 3 minutes. Again, we talked about that person who answers the phone is a tier 1 engineer that's going to be with you to resolve your issue within 3 minutes. We changed to kind of encourage customers to go first, to open up a ticket online before they call. And now our average wait time is less than 30 seconds. And the benefit of that is not only is it less than 30 seconds, but the customer or the tier 1 support engineer who actually answers the phone has your information right in front of them. You don't have to recite it to them. You don't have to tell them, you just got to give them your case number. And now they have all the information and what the issues are, and probably they've already been looking at it before you called. All right, great. So why don't we walk through, Christian, what this looks like when they open up a case online, if you want to just take us through this.
Thank you very much, of course. So once you are logging in on the customer portal, which is the most famous my.vim.com portal, here on the left side, you have the support tab. If you go there, of course, you can have the option to open a case, to see your cases, and so on. Yeah, you have the talk to a manager button, phone support, where again, you get the same information as you'll get on vim.com/support. So you can see all phone number for all countries that we support. And yeah, the most important part here is the open a case option. Here, as you can see, we have three case types. We have the technical support case, licensing, and general inquiry. For technical support cases, something very important that you'll have to be aware of, only accounts that have the license administrator or case administrator role assigned are able to raise such a technical support cases. Otherwise, they won't be able to select the entitlement of the support ID. So like, to use the support plan that they have. For example, licensing and general cases can be raised without mentioning any support ID. Again, as I mentioned previously, we are open and want to help everyone that has issues by raising support cases for technical products. For technical products here, you'll just have to, select the product in the I need support for drop-down list, type in a summary of the problem that you are facing, detailed description of the problem. Down below you have the region, which is Americas, APJ, or EMEA, and below you have the severity. For the severities, as you can see on the right side of the screen, you have a description, what it means, and what's the response time, SLA, for each severity. Based on that, you should evaluate what kind of issue you are facing.
Okay, great. And then they should refer to this when they actually choose what severity level it is, and it gives you the descriptions right there on the right-hand side.
Exactly. Yes, that helps you, to identify what kind of severity you have. On the second step, we are at the attachment step. As you can see here, you can attach actually everything. You can attach a license key file, maybe some screenshots that helps us to identify the issue a lot better, log bundles as well, or anything extra that will help us, to assist maybe during the initial investigation. On the third step,
okay,
we have the verification. Again, this is a pretty important step there, because you will have by default all contact information from your account. However, you can change this to whoever you want to. Maybe I just want to raise the case, and I would add Jim as a contact person for further troubleshooting this with our tier 1 engineer. The tier 1 engineer, once he sees the case, he will check the contact information and either will contact Jim directly or maybe keep him in the loop, depending on what my preference is. After that's done, you just click on Submit, Jim. You'll get the case number directly on the page, and in a couple of seconds later, you get also an automatic email as a confirmation that your case has been raised, and then you have the case number as well.
That's great. And then, by the way, let's just jump to the end. The end meaning your case has been solved. You've had a relationship with someone from tech support. You had a case, and let's say it's closed. Every single person who has a case that's opened and closed with Veeam gets a survey, and we send that survey out a couple of days after your initial closing of that case, and it asks you questions around the level of service. Were you impressed with it? Do you have any issues? Your total satisfaction? 3 or 4 questions, very simple. Believe it or not, we've got in the high 90 percentile positive responses for our tech support. I mean, this is just absolutely blowing away our competition because we've got such dynamic experts, well-skilled in all of the different languages and cultures around the world, providing support and answering questions and solving issues. I've never seen anything like that in my 26 years of experience in software sales, to have a company's tech support to be so good, but those surveys don't lie. And we're very, very proud of that. And Christian, thank you, and your team should be applauded for everything they're doing to help with customer satisfaction.
Always our pleasure to help our customers and make them feel better, make them feel secure in our hands whenever we are troubleshooting something and so on. So we are more than happy for that.
Great, thank you. And then so let's jump to the next topic. And so most of the folks here online listening live around the world have already gone through this step. They've already installed Veeam, but maybe just take us through the different methods of installing the licenses that we have.
Yeah, sure. Well, in order to install Veeam licenses, you have many options. So I will start with the easiest one when you are trying to install or upgrade one of our products. In the first step of the installation, you are asked to specify a path to the license file. If you select a valid license file, which should have the same version of the software that you would like to operate, for example, the installation will commence and the software will be successfully installed. Once you will start the software, the license will be automatically installed. So you'll see the license information and you'll be sure that it has been installed successfully. If you do not apply any license key during the installation process, you will be able to continue with the upgrade or installation, but the software will start in Community Edition. The Community Edition is the so-called free edition that we discussed about. But however, even after you have installed the Community Edition in the upgrade, for example, you can then retrospectively also install the valid license key. So you just download it from my.vim.com, install it over the Community Edition software, and it will turn into a full version of the software.
Got it.
Yeah, that's very interesting because most people sometimes think that we have different installation kits for a trial version, for free version, and for full version. But actually, it's the same kit. You only need the license, and that will switch it to full edition or free or whatever.
And by the way, just to mention, it's the same when you're talking about the backup and replication software. It's the same software that you would install in a small SMB environment as you would install in the enterprise. Is that correct? Same exact code?
It's the same exact code. Yes, correct.
And the only difference is the license key, which talks about the amount of power or throughput based on the number of sockets or instances that are being applied to that particular license. That's the only difference.
Exactly. Yes, that's the only difference.
That is amazing. That is really amazing. Okay, please continue.
All right. The second method will be directly in the Vim software. So you already have the license, the software installed. Maybe you just want to update the license information or reinstall a new license key. In that case, again, you have to make sure that you are downloading the correct license file for your correct Vim software version, and then you can just install it from the software itself. There are 3 steps like file, menu, license, install license key. You browse to that file and it's installed. And the third method of applying a license key is by using Enterprise Manager. Enterprise Manager is strongly recommended. So it's a Vim software, of course, but it's recommended to be used in case that you are managing more VBR servers in order to control the total consumption of the licenses. I can give a very quick example on how this works. For example, you have a license key of 20 instances, and you would like to back up workloads from 2 VBR servers, maybe in different sites or offices. In order to achieve this, you will install Enterprise Manager, which is part of the Vim Backup Replication installation kit. So we don't have a different installation kit for Enterprise Manager. Via Enterprise Manager, you will be able to add both your VBR servers from your 2 locations. And after you are installing the 20 instances license key in Enterprise Manager, the software will push the license key on both connected servers. Once I'm starting some backup jobs on, let's say, the first VBR server, those instances will be allocated from the pool of 20 instances in Enterprise Manager to protect those workloads, for example, 3, and then I still have remaining 17. The same happens with the second VBR server. I start it, I need 2 instances will be pulled from the pool of instances.
That is amazing. Every time I hear that, it just blows my mind. That is such incredible technology, I'll tell you what. Okay, good, and thank you for that. And so what are some of the issues that customers may experience? What type of errors?
As we can see here, invalid license error message or license corrupted error message. This one can have several root causes, pointing out the fact that the license that you are trying to install has a different version than the software version that you are using. So this is like one of the most encountered error messages by our customers. We do have a KB, and I also added it here in the slide, which shows exactly the steps on how to remediate this issue. Theoretically speaking, it's simple. Check what kind of software version you are using. For example, in VBR console menu help about, then go on my.vim.com, download the correct license file for that version, install it, and it will be accepted.
And by the way, you mentioned the KB or the knowledge base. Certainly take us up on the opportunity to go to vim.com/KB, and you could search through our whole entire library and portfolio and really learn the intricacies around the software and things that you never even thought of being there. Really interesting stuff. It'd be great.
Absolutely, yeah. All KBs are up to date. We are always creating new KBs whenever we have maybe new features, new solutions, new common error messages that the customers can solve them by themselves. So yes, I think it's worth checking it up.
Okay, great. Now, who actually is helping us with the merging of these licenses? Is the customer responsible for doing this themselves? Do they call tech support to assist them with this? Like, how does that work?
The customers are responsible for merging their licenses on the customer portal, and more exactly, the license administrator. So the primary license administrator of a license has the ability to merge licenses on the portal.
Right.
Exactly. However, here we have two different types of merging licenses. We have the one on the customer portal, which everyone is aware of. And since the release of V10 and V11 of EBR, we have also introduced a new feature which allows to merge sockets and instances licenses directly in the product. You know,
Wow.
it's more easy. So you just download the socket-based license from the portal, the instance-based license from the portal, you install them one after another in the software, and they will just combine.
That is awesome. That is terrific. All right, good. And there's a KB on that as well, correct?
Exactly, but here I would also like to mention some merging rules because it's pretty difficult if you do not understand the merging rules, and sometimes you might get error messages because the combinations that you are trying on the portal are not working as expected. So I would like to highlight very quick some important merge rules. For example, the perpetual sockets licenses can only be merged if you have the same product and edition. So if you have a Vim Backup Essentials sockets license, that can only be, sockets and standard edition, for example, that can only be merged with Vim Backup Essentials sockets standard edition. So if you have a different edition, you won't be able to merge them. And of course, it's recommended to upgrade them to get the highest common edition, and then you will be able to merge them.
Got it.
Yeah, the second one, merge of perpetual socket and subscription licenses, work only if they have the same product. So we don't care about editions anymore because the VUL licenses are actually universal, so are like Enterprise Plus edition. We only care about the same product. For example, Vim Backup Replication Enterprise with Vim Backup Replication VUL license. Or Vim Backup, Vim Availability Suite Standard Edition with Vim Availability Suite VUL. And when you merge those, it works on the portal.
Wow.
The NAS capacity and VUL license can only be merged if they have the same product and the same license type. So for example, Vim Backup and Replication NAS capacity subscription can be merged with Vim Backup and Replication VUL subscription. Or if they have perpetual, we will need NAS capacity perpetual plus VUL perpetual, and then those can be combined.
Got it. Okay, good. So lots of really interesting things around the merging. And if you have an issue or a challenge, certainly call us and we could help you walk through that. But who is it that actually calls? I mean, a lot of times the questions from the customers is who is the person who would actually type in and open up the case, and who would actually be interfacing with Veeam. So maybe you could walk us through that.
Exactly. It can be the customer itself or maybe their partner, their support partner, if they are working, with someone to support their environment. Here, I would like to highlight the needed roles in order for customers or partners to raise support cases. The main role here is the license administrator role, and as you can see, this role is like the almighty role that the contact can have, meaning that they can manage licenses, like merge them, download them, they can raise and update existing cases, and very important, they are the only ones that can assign case administrators. Case administrators are the employees or the contacts that are able to only raise and update cases, plus they can also see the history of cases raised on that specific support ID. But case administrators cannot download licenses, cannot merge them, so they can only manage the cases.
Right. So the license administrator basically is a permanent position. They would assign the case administrators, and those are not permanent. We can move the case administrators around and assign them, but the license administrator is the main person who's going to be authorized to do that in the license portal, correct?
Yes, correct. So they can edit, they can remove, they can still add case administrators however they feel to.
Got it. Okay. And then the partner can assist. So we got 35,000 active partners around the world. They can assist you with opening up a case on your behalf and helping resolve it on your behalf, correct?
Yes, that's correct. But in order for them to be able to do that, I've also mentioned another KB article here. So we have KBs on all the slides. It describes exactly the steps that the partner should perform on the Pro Partner portal in order to request the support permission from their customers. Once
Right.
that's done, the license administrator from their customer should approve it, and then the partner can raise cases and update existing cases on behalf of that customer.
Right, and that's just the compliance. Then we want to make sure that someone's not doing it maliciously outside of your control. So we want you to authorize that anytime that occurs. So great, that's awesome information. Thank you. And then so what then we talk about these support contracts, and they get a year support for free directly with the initial purchase of the software, or the term of the contract might be multiple years based on their initial purchase. What happens when it expires, Christian? What would they expect to happen?
Exactly. Well, first of all, once a contract is expired, the support will cease. Now we are talking about perpetual because, with subscription, both functionality and support will not work anymore. So if you have a perpetual license key and it expires, you won't be able to install newer versions of Veeam due to the fact that your license won't be accepted. Yeah, because it expired before the new release has been, created.
Right.
So you won't have access to product updates and new product releases. The support is unavailable, as we can see here. You won't be able to merge licenses, you won't be able to upgrade or downgrade licenses anymore because those will be unmanaged anymore since they are expired. You won't be able to download the license key from the customer portal. However, since we are talking about perpetual licenses and those can be used forever, the customers can raise a licensing case if they need a copy of their expired license key. And then we can provide it to them so they can use the old version of Veeam that was released by the moment when the license was active, and they can still continue to use that license key. And yeah, those are like the main points that the customers will lose if they are not on active support.
Right, got it. And then so the business value of keeping your support contracts active and maintained are huge. And we like to just touch on three things. The first is there's a higher level of product performance and support when you have an active contract. That means you've got access to the updates, you've got access to the patches, you've got full-scale releases. You can capitalize on the innovation with new features and functions. And ultimately, we've got this huge network of people there to support you and to help you. If you're doing upgrades, if you're doing a refresh, if you're doing some sort of a data center upgrade over the weekends or holidays, which typically are happening, there's someone out there that's going to assist you. And obviously, depending on if you have basic support, if you have the production support, whether they be responding to you immediately or maybe on the first Monday morning, either way, having a lifeline out there is important. The other thing is it's lower associated costs with your software acquisition. So having more flexibility, having more portability with your environment, and helps you with your return on your investment long-term with your hardware and software. And also the efficient license management. So having the license administrator be able to assign the different licenses out to the folks within the organization and have them manage those in their environments. You lose access to that portal, you lose access to the licensing capabilities without having a support contract, and that is key in adopting our technology. So we certainly encourage you to make sure that your licenses are up to date and your contract is renewed. Like I said before, 97% of the customers out there renew, almost 98% renew, and that 2% that don't, typically, is there an acquisition? Did someone potentially go out of business? What were some of the issues with those? Very, very few companies in a production environment decide not to renew. So I just want to make sure everybody realizes in your production environment, having an active support contract is key and is very helpful in your adoption and your own governance as well within your environment. Okay, so lots of investment has been made. As a matter of fact, when we take a look at the investments that we make in our development teams around the world, more than all of our competitors, and sometimes multiple competitors combined, we invest in our technology. Christian, how many new releases have we come out since January of this year?
Yeah, we've come up with more than 20 new releases, updates, or versions of our softwares for this year so far.
Wow.
And here we have a list of them, indeed, like the most wanted softwares for, that have been released or will be released so far. Worth mentioning, the V11A, Veeam Backup Replication. This was like the most expected one and was released at the beginning of October this year, so like last month. And besides that, we do have the AWS, the Azure, the Google Cloud, Veeam Backup clients that have been released earlier this year. What's coming next, and I think a lot of our customers are expecting, is the VDRO V5, so the Veeam Disaster Recovery Orchestrator. This one, I think it should be released in the next days or weeks, but you know, it's in the pipeline. And
Yeah,
Veeam
so
Custom has
actually, I
also...
saw a message internally on our internal board that was right there, ready to be released, like you said, within the next couple days or next week.
Exactly, yeah. So there's something new coming, a new product from us. And Veeam Custom K10 has also been released, I think, like last month, also in October 2021.
Phenomenal. What an exciting company. Okay. And so one of the things that we're trying to do is we're trying to give customers the option of getting a subscription license with the production support built in at the highest level, highest edition of our products, and it's less expensive than the socket-based licenses. What we just announced was that we would have an end of sale of our socket-based licensing in July of 2022. So what does that mean? That means that up until July of 2022, you can continue to buy our socket-based licenses. If you're on a socket-based license currently, so you just purchased our product, you're on a socket-based license, what I would ask you to do is to take a look at your expansion, new projects and capabilities, and purchase whatever sockets you would need prior to July 1st. Now, we'll continue to support you. You could still buy support contracts on your socket-based licensing. There's no issue with that, but we're just not going to expand our customer base with socket-based licensing after July 1st. Now, what we're asking you to do is take a look potentially at migrating your environment to a subscription license. And the subscription-based license looks at your entire VM portfolio, how many VMs you have under management. And certain times, the subscription license is less than what the socket-based license is on the renewal. So it might be worth your while to take a look at subscription. At some point, you have plenty of time. You've got 7 months to evaluate this. If you want to stay in a socket-based license, we'd encourage you to buy whatever sockets you need in preparation for your growth and expansion. And if you're not so interested in that, you might be interested in a kind of an OpEx type of environment with a subscription-based license. We can take your current perpetual-based license, migrate it over to a subscription license, and long-term, it might be less of an investment for you going forward. So we should absolutely consider that. Christian, did I miss anything on this, or did I cover that correctly?
That's correctly.
Okay.
I mean, existing customers that have socket-based licenses, they can still renew them even after 2022. I think this is the most important thing, you know, for maybe people that misinterpreted this message. However,
Right.
starting 1st of July, in case that you are planning to grow your environment, then you should maybe get additional sockets before 1st of July.
Got it. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay.
You're very welcome.
So I think that brings us to the end of our presentation slides. Now, Christian, I know you're driving the Q&A in the background there. Do you see any questions posted that we should answer?
Yes, we do have. We do have some questions, and I think I can already start to ask one and, you know, see if we can answer. So we got the first question: what is the company position on support options when a product goes out of support, yet budgets to upgrade have not yet been approved?
You know the answer?
Well, I suppose that this should be checked, you know, with the renewal representatives and see exactly a middle way in order to, you know, have advantages on both sides. I'm not sure here.
No, you're absolutely right. And so I'm only teasing. I wanted to see what you would say. So yeah, absolutely contact your renewals specialist. And you can do that by going to veeam.com/renewals. So our renewals portal, and there's a landing page there. And it tells you everything you want to know about renewals and your contracts and all that kind of stuff. All of the FAQs are built in. And there's a little landing page. You just put in your name, your address, company name, phone number, hit enter, and it goes live directly to one of our 450 renewals specialists all around the world. And they would get directly back in touch with you, local language, local time zone. So I would certainly encourage you to go do that. Absolutely, that's the best way to do it.
Exactly. Thank you, Jim. The second one is not really a question, but you know, I would like to read it as well. I would gladly say that it does not matter when anyone calls or who answers. Support is always fantastic. So thank you very much, Peters. Much
Oh,
appreciated.
wow, that's great. That's a great accolade from an audience, and we're talking about our support. That's great. Okay, are there any other questions? I know we have just a couple of
Yes,
quick minutes left here.
exactly. We still have some, so I suppose maybe we can try to answer some of them as well. Otherwise, we can get back to the question to the questions with an answer via email.
Okay, let's do our best. We've got just a couple of quick minutes here.
Exactly. In terms of licensing, subscription versus perpetual, what is the cost difference on the first year, for example? On what circumstances have you seen perpetual being the option from customers?
Okay, so the cost difference, you'd have to talk to your reseller. We don't do the final pricing for you. I will tell you that if you're buying a socket-based perpetual license, the renewal, so the amount that we charge for the renewal is 22% of the license fee. So I'll just make up numbers. If it was $1,000 for your perpetual license, 22% out of $220 is what the support would be for that perpetual license. From a subscription, it's very hard because a subscription license is based on the number of VMs you have in your environment. We average probably 7 VMs per socket. In that rate, if you just did a 7-to-1, the 22% would be about the same as what the subscription license would be. You might have less VMs, which means your price would be less. You might have more VMs, which means your price would be more. That's something you'd have to work on with your reseller partner, your channel partner, and they can actually look at your configuration based on how many sockets you have in your environment, and they can take a look at how many VMs you have in your environment, how many instances that would use in a workload, and based on that, they'd be able to give you a final price. We could help you with the configuration based on the SKUs. They would have to give you the pricing. So I hope that answers the first part of the question. Remind me the second part of that question.
Under what circumstance have you seen perpetual being the option for customers? And I think I can reply to this one with, a quick answer. As far as I know, there are governmental institutes that are not allowed to buy subscription licenses, for example. So it's like a mandatory thing to buy perpetual licenses, right?
Yes, that's right. And I will tell you that even though we're doing an end of life for our perpetual licenses on July of 2022, if there are situations where we have a government institution, a municipality, state and local, if there's a situation where it's mandated by law that they have to purchase the perpetual, we'll work out the details. We'll figure it out. It's not going to be skewed up in our price book. It's not going to be readily available, but you need to contact Veeam. You can do that through your renewals portal, and someone will get back to you and we'll work out the details and we'll help you.
All right, thank you, Jim. I think we still have time for one or two questions. Let's see. If you are using more than one license, do you need to install an enterprise manager for each license file? No, you can also install merge license files in Enterprise Manager, or now since we have the in-product functionality, you can just install, it works exactly like in VBR. You install a socket-based license in Enterprise Manager and then an instance-based license. They will combine themselves, and then you will have the total amount of workloads available in Enterprise Manager. So Enterprise Manager should only be one installation, and then you can have more VMware servers connected to that main installation.
Great. Okay, I was going to say the same thing, but I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, thank you. If you want to add something else, maybe Jim, or
No.
I
I
think
think that's
that's
perfect answer. Perfect answer.
And then again, a similar question: can you use a single Enterprise Manager server with both socket and VUL? Yes, it's possible. You just combine them in the product. I think this is the last one, actually, Jim.
Okay.
So yeah, I think we finished right on time. What is the difference between the agent and the ESXi backup? I think I can reply partially to this one. So yes, ESXi backup is actually the backup of the physical host, of the physical machine. In order to back up a physical server with Veeam, you will need to use the Veeam Agent client as a software. Maybe Veeam Agent, for Windows or for Linux, depends on what OS it has installed. So from my point of view, I would say in order to back up an ESXi host, you'll just have to install Veeam Agent for Windows, for example. If you would like to use it in free edition, you can keep it in free edition. Otherwise, you'll need the VUL license key with instances. And then you can license the agent client, to have all functionalities available for this backup.
Right. And what I would suggest is download the free agent, test it, play with it. And if it makes sense in your environment, then you can go ahead and decide whether you want to buy subscription on the VUL licenses to assist you there. So, hey, great job on the presentation, and great job on the Q&A, Christian. I really do appreciate it. And for those of you that are around the world listening to our broadcast today, thank you very much for participating. Hopefully this was great information for you. If you're interested in knowing whether or not the slides will be available, the answer is yes. If there are any other questions after this broadcast that are submitted, we'll certainly answer those via email back to you. And in the meantime, enjoy the use of your Veeam software. We thank you so much for your partnership and your loyalty to Veeam. We are not successful without you, and we really do appreciate your patronage and your use of our software and the partnership overall. Thank you very much. Stay tuned. Go to veeam.com, take a look at some of the new things that are coming out. We've got a whole host of really cool things that are being announced. So I'd invite you to always take a look at veeam.com for more information. Until then, thank you again. My name is Jim Tedesco. Christian, thank you so much for your time. That was great.
Thank you as well, Jim. It was a pleasure to be part of this webinar indeed. And also thank you to the entire audience that we have here. And I'm sure I'm very happy, if someone has a little bit of new information regarding licensing management than what they had until now. So thank you very much, guys.
Thanks, everyone. Good night. Have a great day.